Welcome to our special report. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the state of Canada's transportation network and the growing public scrutiny facing the minister responsible. As we navigate through 2025, a year marked by unprecedented challenges, the pressure is mounting on the federal government to address a series of high-profile issues that have left many Canadians feeling stranded, frustrated, and unheard. From persistent airport chaos to struggling supply chains and a passenger rail system that seems to be running out of steam, the portfolio of the Transportation Minister has become a national focal point. Let's begin with our airports, the gateways to our nation and, for many, the front lines of the current travel turmoil. Cast your mind back to the summer of 2022, a period that many hoped was a temporary post-pandemic blip. Unfortunately, the scenes of snaking security lines, mountains of lost luggage, and widespread flight cancellations have become an all-too-familiar sight. Fast forward to today, and passenger dissatisfaction is at an all-time high. A recent poll by the Consumer Advocacy Group of Canada found that over 70% of air travelers reported significant disruptions in the past year. So, what went wrong? Critics point to a failure to adequately prepare for the rebound in travel demand and a lack of decisive action to modernize our airport infrastructure. While the minister has repeatedly pointed to global staffing shortages and cooperation with international partners, industry insiders argue that domestic policy has failed to keep pace. We spoke with a former senior air traffic controller who wished to remain anonymous. He told us, "We've been flagging the need for recruitment and technology upgrades for over a decade. The system was already strained before the pandemic. Now, it's simply buckling under pressure, and the proposed solutions are too little, too late." This isn't just about vacation plans being ruined. The ripple effects on business travel and Canada's international reputation are profound. International airlines have quietly reduced their flight frequencies to major Canadian hubs, citing operational instability. This directly impacts tourism, trade, and our ability to attract global talent. The government's introduction of a new digital traveler declaration system was meant to streamline the process. But its rollout was plagued with technical glitches, adding another layer of frustration for passengers. The minister has promised a comprehensive review, but for many Canadians stuck in terminals, those promises ring hollow. Now, let's shift our focus from the skies to the rails. For decades, there has been a dream of high-frequency, reliable passenger rail connecting Canada's major urban centers, particularly the Quebec City-Windsor corridor. Hopes were high when the government announced its high-frequency rail project, promising a transformative investment in passenger train service. However, here in 2025, the project has been beset by delays, budget overruns, and a lack of clear timelines. The initial promise was for dedicated passenger tracks, allowing trains to bypass freight congestion and reach higher speeds. But the latest procurement documents suggest a continued reliance on shared tracks for significant portions of the route. This has led passenger rail advocates to question whether the project will deliver the generational leap it promised. Sarah Vinson, spokesperson for the advocacy group on Track Canada, expressed her concerns. "We're looking at a multi-billion-dollar investment that might only shave a few minutes off travel times, without dedicated tracks. We're just perpetuating the same problems of freight interference and unreliability that have plagued Via Rail for years. It feels like a missed opportunity to build a truly modern, world-class system." The minister's office defends the current approach, highlighting the complexity of land acquisition and the need for a phased implementation. Farmers in the prairies have reported significant delays in getting their grain to market, impacting their bottom line and Canada's reputation as a reliable agricultural exporter. Manufacturers are struggling with unpredictable delivery times for essential parts, leading to production slowdowns. A recent report from the Canadian Chamber of Commerce called the state of our supply chain a national vulnerability. The minister has announced funding for various infrastructure projects aimed at improving flow, such as road-rail grade separations and expanded container handling facilities. However, critics argue this is a reactive, piecemeal approach to a systemic problem. They point to a lack of a cohesive, long-term national transportation strategy that integrates all modes of transport: sea, rail, road, and air. Michael Landry, a logistics professor at the University of British Columbia, put it this way: "We're playing a constant game of whack-a-mole. We fix a problem at the port, and a new one pops up on the railway. We need a holistic, data-driven strategy that anticipates future needs, not one that just reacts to the latest crisis." The minister's portfolio requires a CEO-like vision for the entire network. And we're not seeing that level of integrated planning. The challenges are not limited to large-scale infrastructure. The trucking industry, the backbone of domestic freight, is facing a severe and worsening driver shortage. The Canadian Trucking Alliance estimates a deficit of over 50,000 drivers, a number expected to grow. This leads to higher shipping costs and slower delivery times for everything from groceries to construction materials. While immigration has been touted as a solution, the integration of foreign-trained drivers has been slow and complex. The minister has pointed to federal-provincial collaboration on training programs. But industry leaders say the pace of action doesn't match the urgency of the problem. Another area under the microscope is the government's commitment to its own environmental goals. Transportation is one of the largest sources of greenhouse gas emissions in Canada. The minister has been tasked with steering the sector towards a greener future, promoting electric vehicles and investing in public transit. The zero-emission vehicle mandate, requiring an increasing percentage of new car sales to be electric, is a key pillar of this strategy. However, the rollout has been challenging. The charging infrastructure is struggling to keep up with demand, especially in rural and remote communities. Many Canadians are also facing affordability issues, as the price of EVs remains high for the average family, even with federal rebates. There are growing concerns about the strain on our electrical grid and the sourcing of critical minerals needed for batteries. On the public transit front, municipalities across the country are facing a fiscal cliff. Ridership has not fully returned to pre-pandemic levels, and the emergency operational funding provided during the pandemic has dried up. Whether it's in the air, on the rails, or on our roads, we see a reactive rather than a proactive approach. The coming months will be a critical test. Will we see the decisive leadership and strategic vision needed to get Canada moving again? Or will the delays, disruptions, and disappointments continue to define our national journey? That is the question on the minds of millions of Canadians. Thank you for joining us for this in-depth report. What are your experiences with Canada's transportation system? Let us know in the comments below. And for more analysis on the issues that matter to you, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We appreciate your support.